I'm Jenny Fern and welcome to my library. I'm a chaotic neutral mechanical engineer who's really into permaculture and wants to talk about books. So let's talk about books. Today I am so excited because it is the best day of the year. It is Public Domain Day. Happy Public Domain Day, everybody. And I'm going to be going through books that are entering the public domain in 2025. I love the concept of public domain. I love that so many of the books that I read when I was first getting into reading as an adult were things that were free and available because they were in the public domain. Public domain, what does this mean? This means that the copyrights are up. Those works are now available to the public. They're owned by the public. It's just so beautiful to me that we have these things. Maybe we wrote something when we were alive. We were like, I want my children to be able to get the money from this thing. And then at some point, that thing becomes a part of the collective culture and we all have access to it. I think that that's beautiful. Some of my favorite books that I read last year were from the public domain video that I did at the beginning of last year. So one of my favorite books that I read this last year, 2024, was Dark Princess by W.E.B. Du Bois, which I only heard about and knew about because I did the public domain video last year. I also read Strange Interlude because I did that video, and both of them I just loved. So I'm so excited to explore some titles with you all today. I will be hearing about a lot of these for the first time. I have my laptop, I have some plot summaries to explore with you together. Disclaimer, the copyright laws are different in different countries. I am looking at what the laws are in the United States, and here things that are entering the public domain were published originally in 1929. That's what's going into the public domain in 2025. Sorry about some clanging. My cats are playing around a metal folding chair. So I will be going through a brief plot description and a brief author bio. And based on the feedback that I got last year, I'll also be including the birth and death of the author in case that's important in understanding if this is available in the public domain in your country. First up, The Sound and the Fury by William Faulkner. This Southern Gothic masterpiece chronicles the decline of the Compson family through 4 distinct perspectives, including one from the mentally disabled Benji. Faulkner explores themes of time, memory, and identity in a fractured stream of consciousness narrative. William Faulkner, 1897 to 1962, was an American writer known for his complex narratives and deep exploration of Southern life. He won the Nobel Prize for Literature in 1949. I have never read anything by William Faulkner. I am not feeling particularly called to this one. This next book is A High Wind in Jamaica by Richard Hughes. This unsettling novel follows a group of English children who are captured by pirates in the Caribbean. Their moral ambiguity and capacity for cruelty unsettle the adults who attempt to care for them. That sounds really weird and really interesting. Richard Hughes, 1900 to 1976, was a British novelist, playwright, and poet known for his inventive storytelling and psychological depth in his characters. Interesting. Depending on how long that is, I might give that a shot. An absolute classic that I haven't read yet, despite my collection from this author. That is A Farewell to Arms by Ernest Hemingway. Set during World War I, this tragic love story follows American ambulance driver Frederick Henry and nurse Catherine Barkley. Their romance unfolds against the horrors of war, culminating in heartbreak. Ernest Hemingway, 1899 to 1961, was an iconic American writer known for his terse prose and themes of heroism, love, and existential struggle. He won the Nobel Prize in Literature in 1954. Like I mentioned, I have not read A Farewell to Arms yet. I don't know if this is the Hemingway for me, to be perfectly honest. I'm not sure about World War I tragic love story, if that's for me though. The Good Companions by J.B. Priestley. This uplifting novel follows a motley group of characters who join a traveling theater troupe exploring their personal struggles and the camaraderie of the stage. This is by J.B. Priestley, 1894 to 1984. Wow, that's a long life. Was a prolific British writer and playwright noted for his social commentary and works like An Inspector Calls. I'm gonna be completely honest, I have never heard of J.B. Priestley before. This summary is a little too vague for me. A book that I've read is on this list. I read this just last year, and that's A Room of One's Own by Virginia Woolf. In this seminal feminist essay, Woolf argues that women need financial independence and personal space to create art and engage in intellectual pursuits. Virginia Woolf, 1882 to 1941, was an influential British modernist author and pioneer of stream of consciousness writing. Her works include Mrs. Dalloway and To the Lighthouse. A Room of One's Own is the only Virginia Woolf I've ever read, and I really liked it. And when I was compiling this information, my husband was also in the room, and he was like, "Oh, A Room of One's Own. You read that last year. From what you were saying about it, you've made me interested in reading it." Take that as you will. It's also very short. And this one seems kind of fun. The Bishop Murder Case by S.S. Van Dyne. Detective Philo Vance investigates a series of nursery rhyme-inspired murders in this classic whodunit. The clever puzzle keeps readers guessing until the final reveal. S.S. Van Dyne, the pseudonym of Willard Huntington Wright, was an American writer of detective fiction known for his Philo Vance series. I'm not a big detective novel girl, but this sounds fun. This sounds so modern, like so CSI. Nursery rhyme inspired murders. I should mention, I think The Maltese Falcon is also going into the public domain, but I wasn't 100% sure because I think it was serialized, like it was published in magazines in 1929, but I'm not sure if all of it was published in 1929. Moving on. Cup of Gold by John Steinbeck. Steinbeck's debut novel reimagines the life of pirate Henry Morgan, blending historical fiction with the mythic themes of ambition and betrayal. John Steinbeck, 1902 to 1968, was an American author celebrated for his poignant portrayals of social issues. He won the Nobel Prize in Literature in 1962. I'm a big fan of John Steinbeck. I have never heard of his first novel, A Cup of Gold, and I'm actually so curious in this now because he wrote a pirate novel. I'm a little suspicious of this one, and I'm not sure if I have reason to be or not. It's called Mamba's Daughters by DeBose Hayward. This novel explores the lives of African American women in Charleston, South Carolina through themes of race, resilience, and cultural identity. The reason why I'm a little suspicious is because DeBose Hayward is not an African American woman. DeBose Hayward, 1885 to 1940, was an American novelist and playwright, best known for Porgy, which inspired the opera Porgy and Bess. I've never heard of Porgy. I'm so sorry. So now we have a book that is now in the public domain in English. It had the original language in the public domain, I think, last year. That's All Quiet on the Western Front by Eric Maria Remarque, translated by A.W. Ween into English. This anti-war novel depicts the harrowing experiences of German soldiers during World War I, capturing the futility and devastation of combat. Eric Maria Remarque was a German novelist whose works often explored the human cost of war. This time period, we're really dealing with the repercussions of World War I. This next book, the title makes me so intrigued. It's called Dark Hester by Anne Douglas Sedgwick. This novel delves into the complexities of human relationships and moral dilemmas in a richly atmospheric setting. That is so too vague for me, but I'm really intrigued by just the title Dark Hester. Anne Douglas Sedgwick, 1873 to 1935, was an American-born British writer known for her nuanced psychological novels. Next, we have an Agatha Christie. I've never read anything by Agatha Christie, although I have a bind-up of 5 of her classic mystery novels. So The Seven Dials mystery is a lighthearted mystery featuring amateur sleuths and secret societies. This story blends humor and intrigue in classic Christie fashion. Agatha Christie, 1890 to 1976, was the queen of crime, renowned for her detective novels featuring Hercule Poirot and Miss Marple. How have I never heard of any of those people before? We have come to Goodbye to All That by Robert Graves. Graves's autobiography recounts his experiences in World War I and his disillusionment with British society. Robert Graves, 1895 to 1985, was a British poet, novelist, and scholar known for his works on mythology and war. This sounds interesting to me. With a name like Goodbye to All That, and it's about disillusionment, I'm like, maybe. Ex-Wife by Ursula Parrott. This novel explores the challenges of modern relationships and societal expectations through the life of a newly divorced woman in 1920s America. That sounds so interesting to me. Ursula Parrott, 1900 to 1957, was an American author who wrote candidly about women's lives and relationships in the early 20th century. Now this has a Norwegian name that I have no idea how to pronounce, but Peder Victorious by Ove Edvard Rolvag, a continuation of Giants in the Earth. This novel examines the struggles of Norwegian immigrants adapting to American life on the prairie. Ole Edvard Rolvag, 1876 to 1931, was a Norwegian-American writer whose works reflect immigrant experiences in the Midwest. That is a perspective I have never heard from and I'm definitely interested in. Roper's Row by Warwick Deeping, a romantic drama set in a London neighborhood. This story intertwines themes of love, class, and personal growth. Warwick Deeping, 1877 to 1950, was a British author known for his historical romance novels. Woolf, Solent by John Cowper Poise. This introspective novel follows Woolf Solent as he navigates his inner conflicts and relationships in rural England. John Cowper Poise was a British novelist and philosopher celebrated for his richly descriptive prose. I'm into richly descriptive prose, but this sounds so vague. Rural England sounds cool. That could be something that I'm interested in. The Escaped Cock by D.H. Lawrence. This allegorical tale reimagines the resurrection of Christ, blending mysticism and humanism. I'm so intrigued by this. D.H. Lawrence was a groundbreaking English novelist and poet whose works often challenge societal norms. Then our last book here, I think is actually very strange, so bear with me. The last book is Secession in Astropolis by Eugene Jolas or Jolas. This experimental narrative explores themes of fragmentation and modernity through a surreal lens. What does that mean? I don't know. I'm trying to figure out how his last name is pronounced because it says Franco-American, so I'm like, Jolas? Eugene Jolas, 1894 to 1952, was a Franco-American writer and editor known for his avant-garde contributions to modernist literature. And that, my friends, is what I have for you today. What am I most intrigued to read? Dark Hester, just to know what the hell Dark Hester is. Cup of Gold, I'm fairly interested in. A High Wind in Jamaica sounds really unsettling and weird. So I think those are probably what I'm personally most interested in. Oh, and ex-wife. I hope you're excited to read this year. I hope you're excited for all of the possibilities. Don't be afraid to utilize works that are in the public domain. Use Project Gutenberg, use the Google Books. They have works that are in the public domain. There's also LibriVox that does audiobooks, like crowdsourced audiobooks. I'm so excited. Every year I'm so excited that we have like a full new year's worth of work accessible freely to everyone. It's really fun and exciting. And anyway, I hope you explore what's available to you. Thank you so much for joining me. If you enjoyed this, consider sharing it with a friend who you think would also enjoy it. Consider liking and subscribing, and I will be back again soon.